Greetings to you from Garage Number 1. Stories about legends. It is series about most iconic cars in the world. This episode is about BMW M5 F90. Since the first generation E28 was introduced, the M5 has always adhered to a simple philosophy, pairing elevated driving dynamics with everyday usability in a sleeper body. This recipe was gradually improved after the E28, when the E34, E39, E60 and F10 followed, each being the halo variant of their respective 5 Series generation. Given its reputation as being the barometer to which all competitors are benchmarked against, it was always a challenge for BMW to ensure the M5 remained ahead of rivals from the 3-pointed star and 4 rings. With the F10 now retired after 5 years of service, and the W213 Mercedes-AMG E63 stepping out of the shadows, the F90 M5 has arrived just in time to uphold the reputation of the nameplate. To ensure it remains the go-to big sports sedan, discounting the M3, of course, there's a bevy of new technologies that are considered revolutionary or controversial depending on who you ask. Nonetheless, does the overall package impress? The essence of any M5 begins with a mighty engine, and this one is the mightiest in the model's history. Under the bonnet is a S63B44T4 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, which is an upgraded version of the S63B44T0 found in the F10, with a number of tweaks for more potency. For starters, revised cross-bank exhaust manifolds work with new turbochargers to allow more exhaust gases to flow back into the latter. Meanwhile, the cooling and lubrication systems have been replaced with race-spec ones, featuring indirect charge air cooling and a new oil supply system. The end result is a power plant that churns out 600 horsepower from 5,600 to 6,700 RPM and 750 Nm of torque between 1,800 and 5,600 RPM. Compared to the outgoing F10, you're looking at a 40 horses and 70 Nm increase, but that's not the only highlight here. Paired with the V8 is an 8-speed M-Steptronic torque converter automatic transmission, which displaces the F10's GetRag GS7D36BG 7-speed M double-clutch transmission. The transmission is based on the standard ZF-sourced unit used in the regular G30, and comes with drive logic, with 3 progressively aggressive shift mappings on tap. This generation of the M5 will only be available as an automatic, unlike the F10 that could be had with a 6-speed manual in selected markets. Even with the additional power and new gearbox, there's one more ingredient that has gotten the most attention: the new MX-Drive all-wheel drive system. Yes, this is the first M5 to come with all-wheel drive, but it has been set up to be rear biased to ensure extended power slides remain part of the car's skill repertoire. The system works with the active M differential as well as M-specific driving dynamics control software to provide drivers with multiple choices of how to have fun. For instance, in its default setting, DSC on and 4-wheel drive, the car still allows for a certain amount of slip at the rear when powering out of a corner. If more slip angle is required, M Dynamic Mode, DSC on and 4-wheel drive Sport, allows more torque to go to the rear for controlled drifts. Should you want to go full Ken Block, and have the system be in rear-wheel drive mode only, you'll need to completely disable DSC to do so. Performance-wise, it takes just 3.4 seconds for the M5 to get to 100 km/h from a standstill, and an additional 7.7 seconds to see 200 km/h. The car is limited to 250 km/h, but an optional M driver's package allows for an extra 55 km/h on top of that. As power is nothing without control, the M5's chassis also boasts significant upgrades from a regular G30. Steering is handled via an electric-powered system with M-specific servotronic function and variable sport ratio, with 3 settings: Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus. There's adaptive M suspension all around as well, with the front double wishbones receiving M-specific kinematic and elastokinematic characteristics. Meanwhile, the 5-link rear gets new elastomer bearings and toe links with stiffer rubber mounts to cope with the added stresses of high-performance driving. Elsewhere, firmer anti-roll bars, and additional steel X-brace and aluminium transverse struts increase the stiffness of the chassis linkages at the rear axle. Other enhancements that increase stiffness include an aluminium tower-to-bulkhead profile and 2 tower-to-front-end struts. There's no all-encompassing driving modes to cycle through here, so drivers are given free rein to select individual characteristics for each system: powertrain, suspension and steering, along with an on-off function for the 4 noise tubes at the back. Once you're pleased with the settings, you can also save them as one of 2 available presets. The 2 labeled red buttons on the steering will allow for quick switching, and they are more prominent than those in the F10. There's a wide range of combinations you can make, but personally, M1 should be set for maximum civility, while M2 is for when a track day beckons. Walking up to the car, it is immediately known that this M5 is a little more showy compared to all of its predecessors. New bumpers, side skirts, a rear diffuser, boot lid lip spoiler and more prominent fenders are eye-catching cues that mark it out as the range topper. If that isn't enough visual presence, there's even a carbon fiber roof, which is part of a weight-saving exercise that includes the use of aluminium to construct the bonnet. Other smaller details include the standard array of M5 badges on the side gills, grille and rear boot, as well as the omission of the air breathers. In contrast, the interior gets a subtler makeover and features an M5 specific gear shifter and the aforementioned red buttons on the steering wheel. To the left of the former, you'll find switchgear to control through the various system modes along with driver assist and DSC systems. Those M Sports seats come with an illuminated M5 logo on the integrated headrest, and drivers will get to play around with a head-up display that has dedicated M functions. Beyond these items, the cabin isn't festooned with carbon fiber parts, although optional M performance parts can satisfy such needs. With the pleasantries out of the way, what's the new M5 like to drive? Simply, the car drives almost like a regular G30, comfortable and refined, with very little need to ensure it remained restrained. The slush box is smooth in its operation, and in its quickest shift mapping, it is very easy to confuse it with a dual-clutch unit. The ride is pretty good, although more sensitive bottoms would be notified of it being slightly on the firm side. This is to be expected, and most noticeable with primary ride, while the secondary easily handled by the suspension. Despite this, it don't crash over bumps and the suspension does well to isolate unwanted shocks from the cabin. Picking up the pace a little more, the MX Drive system starts to come alive, ensuring there is enough traction at speed along the narrow and damp roads. With the powertrain set to Sport Plus, the drive logic in Level 3, and everything else left in comfort, the M5 simply charges through the twisty sections of road with deft finesse. While it may have been impressive on the road, the track is where the M5 truly shines. First impressions on track, the build-up of speed was simply mesmerizing, and while the V8 does not deliver the oral pleasure of the E60's V10, it still puts on a good show for the ears when the amber button on the center console is lit. On the main straight, the gearbox continues to impress as it cycled through the gears, each upshift arriving quick and without any excessive neck movement. The steering, which has good accuracy and provides sufficient feedback so precise placement of the car on the entry and exit apexes of track is pretty simple. Downshifts aren't as dramatic as one might expect, unlike the E60's SMG box, but there's a satisfying throttle blip to go along with each one. The vehicle's heft, as slowing down at 1,855 kilograms is quite a challenge. Thankfully, the M compound brakes and 6-piston front calipers, single-piston rears, is more than up to the task, with good feel on the pedal and minimal travel required. Despite the weight, turning into curves is met with near-absent body roll, with the suspension doing well to mask the mass. The turn-in is pretty sharp too, albeit a little delayed as the cars were preset to have this steering in comfort mode. As it is adjustable, Sport and Sport Plus modes offers a significantly quicker steering response and weightage. The former is my setting of choice, as the latter makes the car feel a little too twitchy and overeager. To each his own, I guess, as Spengler himself prefers Sport Plus for quicker turns, as his other hand is busy operating the radio to communicate with those behind him. Those adjustable bolsters on the seats becomes a welcome relief here, providing good support and grip against the left-to-right cornering forces. Unlike in other vehicles, the bolsters themselves does not obstruct steering motions, which is a constant nagging for a person of my body size. For us regular folk, the MX Drive system ensures the car maintains its trajectory, sending power appropriately to all four corners, allowing one to clip the late apex on the exit back down the main straight. With drift mode in effect, the car is more inclined to let its tail hang out when more power is applied on the exit out of curves. The new M5 was always going to be under intense scrutiny when it was first revealed, more so with all its substantial mechanical enhancements. An all-wheel drive M5 may be sacrilegious to the purists, but it is something that should be revered rather than scoffed at. If that weren't enough, a lock-up automatic over a dual-clutch unit would be seen as a step back for the masses out there. However, these new additions have in no way dampened or made the M5 weak in any sense of the word. In actuality, the car is leap forward for the most powerful letter in the world in terms of what it knows best, pairing driving dynamics with everyday usability. On one hand, it offers a delicate ride on the daily drive, with none of the finicky inconveniences you would expect from a high-performance vehicle. On the other, it will absolutely slay tires on a track, or if traction is more of your forte, the new mechanicals will help in that regard as well. The new M5 has capabilities well and truly beyond the driving skills of most drivers, and you're not test driving the car so much as the car is actually testing you. If you aren't a skilled track driver, who regards every hot lap session in the car as a casual Sunday drive, you'll be wowed and urged to push to enhance your skills further. With the new systems, the car becomes a lot more approachable and quells any fear of trying to go quicker. Even if outright speed isn't your cup of tea, the car offers drivers the opportunity to choose their fun. To this rider, the new M5 remains the quintessential sports sedan, and forget the two-car garage game, I'll just have the one and only. Thank you for attention. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page and stay tuned for the next story from Garage Number 1.